Salutations, Nyasha. This is Mommy. How are you? Good. Okay, so today we are going to continue practicing. Now, I realized yesterday that I started with really big numbers, and the only reason why I started with big numbers is because it's something that we've done before, but I really should have started with the smaller numbers when we were practicing our subtract one method. So it's an alternative to regrouping. An alternative means another option or something different or another way, okay, that we can regroup. So, and what is regrouping? Regrouping is when we have a double-digit number or multi-digit number, and the numbers on the bottom, when we're subtracting categorically or subtracting by column or place value is the appropriate word. When we are subtracting by place value, if the numbers are on the bottom are bigger than the numbers on the top, what do we have to do? We usually have to regroup, correct? Okay, easy peasy. Now, however, when there are two or more zeros, we can use what's called the subtract one method, and we can use our mental math to do so. Okay, so it's 3 easy steps, just like OSO, 3 easy steps. Okay, so now let's take a look. We're going to start here. Okay, now in the first problem, we have 2 zeros. Well, actually, I forgot to do a roll call. Can you raise your hand if you're brilliant? Can you raise your hand if you are intelligent? Can you raise your hand if you're talented? Can you raise your hand if you're gifted? Can you raise your hand if you're amazing? Can you raise your hand if you are blessed by the Most High God from the crown of your head to the sole of your feet? You certainly are. You are amazing. So, Nyaja, so one of the things I wanted to do is to we're going to practice it. And I said that we would use smaller numbers this time because I felt like the numbers we used yesterday were way too big, especially for a review. So we're going to do some smaller numbers. And if your dad decides to give you some additional problems, he can do that. And you can use bigger numbers because you can definitely go up to 10, to the 10,000th place. Okay, so now, but so that we can practice, let's start in the hundreds, okay? So now, 500 minus 1, we know if it's 2 zeros, when we subtract 1, using our mental math, you should remember that the number before 100 is always 99. So whether you have 500s, 400s, 300s, it's always, the number that comes before the next 100 is 99. So 500 minus 1 is going to be 499. Why? Because what comes after 499? 500, right? So it's just like counting. It's just like counting. And I know that sometimes well, I don't know. You said your dad practices with you. So hopefully he's been practicing that with you, okay? But okay, let's take a look here. So if we have 500 and we subtract 1, we end up with what? 499, because what do? We replace the zeros with nines and we count down 1. So instead of it being a 5, we go to 4. Okay? So it's 499 because 99 is before 100. So let's say if I change this to, so I can make it a better example. This 500. And we'll make this 200 minus 75. Okay? All right, so now we have, I'm so sorry that okay, so we have 2 zeros. So those zeros are going to become what? 9s, okay? And then we're going to count back 100. So now we go to 199 because 1 less than 200 is 199. So now we've changed the top number. It's now 199 minus 75. So now we have to do the work, okay? So 199 minus 75. Let's take a look. So in the ones column, we have a 9 on the top and a 5 on the bottom. Okay? In the ones column, we have a 9 on the top and a 5 on the bottom. What is 9 minus 5? 4. Very good. Okay, what about here? What is 9? In the tens column, we have 9 minus 7. What's 9 minus 7? Let's use you can use your mental math, but if you're feeling like you can't remember today, that's okay. You can use your fingers. What's 9 minus 7? I know you know. Did you say 2? Correct. It's 2. 9 minus 7 is 2. Now, since we have it regrouped, all we have to do is drop the what? The 1. Excellent. So now we have 124 is our answer. 199 minus 75 is 124. Now, however, we subtracted 1, remember, in order for it to be 199. So what do we have to do? Now we have to add it back. So 124 plus 1 will give us what? What's 4 plus 1? 5, correct. So 124 plus 1 is what? 125. Okay? So now, if we look back at our original problem, 200 minus 75 is equal to 125. Okay? Let's look at that again. 200 minus 75 will give us what? 125. Okay? So, and like I said, I know I used more complicated numbers yesterday, and I apologize. It's just that I figured we've done it before, but I haven't worked with you, so I don't know exactly where you are or what you've been doing. So I just wanted to make sure that I made it as simple as possible so you get the method down, and then we can expand the numbers. Okay? All right, so now let's look at this number. We have 800 minus 722. We have 800 minus 722. So we have 2 zeros, right? So that means we can use our subtract 1 method, right? So 800 minus 1 will give us what? We're going to place the zeros with 9s. Very good. I can hear you talking to me. So our first step is replace our zeros with 9. Okay. And then we're going to subtract 1 from the hundreds place. And so instead of it being 800, it becomes 700 because 800 minus 1 is 799. Okay, so now let's take away what's our bottom sum? What's the bottom number? Okay, the bottom number is what? 722, correct? Okay, all right, so 700, so we have 799 minus 722. So all we have to do is subtract like normal. What's 9 minus 2? Did you say 7? You're absolutely right. So we have 7. 9 minus 2 again, another 7. But then what's 7 minus 7? That's right, 0. If you have 7 and you take away 7, you don't have anything left. So it's 0. Now, but up here, we subtracted 1 from our top sum, right? So now, in order to get it back, we have to add it, right? We have to add it back. So now, instead of it being 77, we have to add 77 plus 1, which would make it 78. Okay? All right? So now, the answer here is 78. Okay? So 800 minus 722 is actually 78. 800 minus 722 is actually 78. Okay? All right. So now let's look at our last problem today. Okay? Well, for this method, okay, we're going to look at 500 minus 197. Okay? 500 minus 197. Okay, we're going to subtract 1 from our top number. So instead of it being 500, it becomes what? Okay, so instead of it being 500, it becomes what? So we're going to change our zeros to what? 9s. So it's 99. And we're going to subtract 100. So it's back to 400. So now we have 499 minus 100 and what? 97. Okay, so this is what it should look like. 499 minus 197. Okay, 499 minus 197. Okay, all right, so let's take a look at it. 9 minus 7 will give us what? Did you say 2? Excellent. 9 minus 9 is what? 0. And 4 minus 1 is what? Come on. Yes, I knew you know it. 3, of course. So now we have 302. But what did we do? We subtracted 1 at the beginning of the problem. So now we have to add that 1 back. So now instead of it being 302, it's what? 303. Very good. 303. So we can write our final answer up here, 303. Okay. All right. So, okay. So now we solved our 3 problems. Okay. And again, the more you practice it, the more fluid you'll get at the method. We did it last year, and I think we spent about a week on it. And you're pretty good with regrouping. So this is just another way, and you only use this method when there's 2 or more zeros. Yesterday I said 3 or more zeros, but you can do it with 2 or more zeros as well. Okay, 2 or more zeros. You subtract 1 from the top sum. You go ahead and subtract as normal, and then you add 1 back to the difference because you have to add the 1 that you took away in the beginning. So you add it back at the end. Okay. Okay. So that's that part of it. So what I'd like to do is we can do a couple more of those problems if you'd like, or you can just listen to this. I didn't get a message from you. I don't know when you watch it. I didn't hear from you, so we can, we can just stop right there, and I'm gonna. So what I'll do is, give me a second. I am going to write you out a few problems that I want you to practice with your dad. If you have to go back and review and see what I've done, you can do that, and then I'll answer the problems for you. I'll do the answers at the end, okay? So give me 2 seconds. Actually, you don't have to wait, but I'm going to pause the video for a minute. I'll be back in a sec. And in the meantime, make sure that you've headed your paper properly. That means name, date, and day at the top of your paper, okay? I'm in subject, which is math. I'll talk to you in a minute. Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, brilliant. I have 3 more problems that I'd like you to solve. These are your practice problems. You have 700 minus 383. You have 600 minus 422. And you have 1,000 minus 891. Okay? Let's look again. 700 minus 383. 600 minus 422. And 1,000 minus 891. So I'm going to give you approximately 10 minutes. I give you 10 minutes to solve these problems, and then I'm going to come back with the answers, okay? And we'll do them together. So go ahead and get to work. Okay, so you should be wrapping up doing your arithmetic. with the subtract 1 method right now. And what we're going to do is I'm going to review. Now I had to change one of the problems and I couldn't remember, excuse me, I rewrote it to make it a bit neater and I added 1. So we'll do this one again, and this one may be incorrect because I may not have written the right numbers. I knew it was in the 800s, but I couldn't remember which number it was. So please excuse me and pardon me for that mistake, okay? So now, let's look at the problem. Let's look at the first one, okay? If we had 700 minus 383, we see the number and we realize that there's 2 zeros. So what is the first step we're going to do? What did you do first? That's right, you subtract 1. Okay? So now, we're going to use our mental math. 700 minus 1, we know we bring down our first 2 nines, 99, and then we're going to subtract 1 in the hundreds place. Now we have 699. So 699 minus 383. Okay? 9 minus 3 is what? 6. 9 minus 8 is what? 1. 6 minus 3 is 3. Okay? So now, because we subtracted 1, so our answer, 699 minus 383, will give us 316. But because in order to get 699, we had to take away 1. So now we have to add it back. Okay? So the answer is 317. Okay? So at the top underneath your problem, the difference is 317. Did you get that answer? Is that what you have written, 317? Because that should be written right here, 317. Okay? Now, let's go to the next problem. If you have 600 as your top sum and you're taking away 422, okay? So we're doing 600 minus 422. So if we look at our top number, it's 600, okay? So when we take away 1, we know we have to bring down our 2 nines because the zeros are going to turn into nines. And we're going to take away 1 in the hundreds place. So it's a 6. So now it becomes a 5. Okay? 599 minus 422. So now we're just going to solve like usual. 9 minus 2 is what? 7. 9 minus 2 in the tens place? Another 7. 5 minus 4 is what? 1. That's 177. So now you have 177, and you need to do what? Add 1, okay? 178 is our answer. Now, we can discuss it again. The reason why we know that 178 is our answer is because we subtracted our 1 to get 599. We solved and we got 177. But because we subtracted 1 to get 599, we have to add it back to our answer, which is plus 1. So we have 178. So the final answer is 178. Okay? I know I kind of talked through that rather quickly, but you can have your dad rewind it, and I'm going to explain it one more time. So our top sum was 600, and we were supposed to subtract 422. So because we noticed that there were 2 zeros, there was a 0 in the ones place and a 0 in the tens place, what we did is we subtracted 1 to make it 599 because the bottom sum is bigger than the top sum. And anytime that happens, usually we have to regroup. But instead of regrouping twice, we're just going to subtract 1, get some nice whole numbers on the top, subtract as usual, and then add the 1 back to our answer, our final answer. Okay, so we did 599 minus 422. Our answer is 177. So when we add the 1 back, we get 178. Okay? So our answer to the second problem is 178. Okay? Now, let's look at the next one. We have 1,000. And I could have done it wrong, rewrote the wrong number. So please forgive me. I didn't write it in the other book. I just kind of was going off the top of my head. So 1,000 minus 897. I know 1,000 sounds like a really big number. And yesterday I was using 10,000 and 20,000. Okay. So mommy apologizes, but okay. So we're going to subtract 1. Every 0 is going to turn into a 9. Okay. So we have 3 zeros. So now we have 3 9s. 1, 2, 3. And then we have what? A comma. Very good. Well, actually, no comma. Because 1,000 minus 1 is actually 999. So we no longer have anything in the thousands place, okay? Now let's figure out. We have to subtract 897 minus 897. What's 9 minus 7? Did you say 2? Of course. What's 9 minus 9? 0. What's 9 minus 8? 1. So now we have 102. Okay? 102. So now we subtracted 1 in the beginning to take it from being 1,000 to 999. So now we have to add 1. So when we add 1 back to our difference, we get 103. Okay? So our final answer is 103, and that's only if you did 1,000 minus 897. That might be different than the first problem that I did. Please forgive mommy's brain for making that mistake, but in the event, that's what it would look like, okay? And when you show your work, you don't have to do anything to necessarily manipulate the problem except for add your answer, but I need to see your work, okay? Each time. All right, so let's do our last and final problem. This problem I didn't give you ahead of time, so this one we would be doing together, okay? All right, so now, if we had 300 and we took away 222, all right? So we have 2 zeros. So what are we going to do? We have to turn those into 9s. So we have 9, 9. We're going to go down 100. We're going to actually take away the 1 from the hundreds, and it becomes 2. So we have 299 minus 222. Okay, so now we're just going to solve as usual. What's 9 minus 2? 7. Very good. What's 9 minus 2? 7. What's 2 minus 2? 0. Okay, so now we have 77, but remember, we took away 1 in the beginning. Right? We took away 1 to make it 299. So now we have to add it back. So instead of it being 77, the final answer is actually what? That's right, 78. So our final answer on problem number 3 is 78. Okay? So our first problem, the answer is 317. In the second problem, our answer is 178. In our third problem, the answer is 103. And our fourth problem, the answer is 78. Okay? And each time we found our answer using the what? Subtract 1 method. Okay? And we only use that when there is more than 1 0. Okay, if there's only 1 0, you would regroup as usual. Okay, but if there's 2 or more zeros, we can use the subtract 1 method. Okay, so I hope that this review was helpful, and feel free to get Daddy to give you a couple extra problems so that you can practice it more often and you can get really, really good at it, because I know you love math and I know that you're an excellent mathematician. All right. So I love you, baby. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I can't wait to speak to you. And I hope to see you soon. Have a great day.